Welcome back to the Barbados beach house. It's been some time. I thought it was due a check-in, mainly because I've got something going on. The dreaded solar. So, we've had a real issue with our solar, in as much as the whole process about how you go about applying for the solar on the island through the banks, who on the island is good and bad at doing solar, how you select the right individuals, where you get the products from, the costs associated with it, etc. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of an overview about how I've gone about doing it on the island. Again, some of the downsides that I've gone through, ensure that you don't get the same problems. And also just show you some of the stuff we've ordered and what we're going to be doing. So yeah, before I carry on gassing, if you don't mind subscribing to the channel if you're not subscribed already, and hit a like if there's any content you actually like. And thank you for carrying on as subscribers. I think there's about 1,200 subscribers, I think, still on the channel. So obviously let me know if there's anything in particular you want to see, I want to know more of. And I will be uploading all the old videos from the start of the build at some stage as well, and there's lots of them. So before I start, my wife's garden looking 10 times better. I think you'll agree. So let me take you around the front first of all and just show you some of the stuff that's arrived. Forgive me on the wind front because it's quite a windy day today, which is nice. Bright and sunny as always. Okay, right, and get out of the wind quickly. Okay, so as you can see behind me, there's our 112 panels, which I ordered directly from China myself, mainly because I was let down by the actual solar installer. So there's a few people on the island I would strongly recommend you don't go anywhere near, and I may very well drop the names of those people in the text at some stage to follow, because I don't want you guys going through the same pain I went through. But anyway, I picked up the relationship directly with this company. These are twin cell, so they're basically, there's a cell here and there's a cell here, so that if the sun comes along and shadows the actual panel, rather than it being average, one side will charge 100% and the second side will start charging at some stage as well. And at the same time, they're also bifacials as well, which means they charge from the front and they charge from underneath as well. So they'll take the sun from the top, charge the batteries, and any sun that comes to the roof and ricochets back up, it will charge from underneath as well. So they're called twin cell bifacial. And they're 450s, although they're actually rated at 462, I think it is. And that normally means the size. So height-wise, 450s are a certain size. We went for 720s initially, but taking up a 6-foot panel of glass up onto the roof was going to be quite an exercise on its own. So we decided to go down to the 450s. So we'll land up with 112 on the roof. We may split some and put some on the garage as well. So we've got the garage covered as well as the roof here. But we'll see how that goes. At the moment, we're looking to physically put all of them on this roof here as we speak. The thing we are doing upstairs is trying to get rid of the ponding. So you may remember in some of the previous videos, we got some ponding issues up there. We bought some level laying from England. Unfortunately, we didn't bring in enough. So we're now today looking to sand down what we've already done and bring in more level lay and get that laid today. So I will show you that in a minute. And then the guys are downstairs at the moment putting in the batteries, building the racks for the batteries, mounting the inverters downstairs. So we're actually going to go with all of the stuff downstairs. Originally, I was going to have it all put in the garage, and then we were going to go through the side of the garage into the offset that we made, which I'll show you in a second. And then there's conduits, 4-inch conduits going all the way through the garage floor. We were going to be running the cable all the way down into underneath the house and then coming up into the electric room. The downside to that is you have to run the mains power cable from the current electric box all the way back to those inverters, and then you've also got to get another return cable all the way back again, which landed up being around about, each one, about 60 to 70 foot run. So 140 foot of cable around about 3 inches thick. So it probably would have run into about 10 to 15,000 in the end, so we decided not to do that. The downside to that is that means we've had to mount the inverters and the batteries downstairs in the basement, which I didn't really feel that comfortable with, mainly because of batteries, the EMF. They've got a few flame issues, you know, they tend to sometimes rupture. The new ones are a lot better, so fingers crossed I won't have that problem. Benefit, obviously, they're out of the salt, out of the wind, out of the sun. And obviously straight underneath the electric unit, so there's not a big run. So there's positives to putting it downstairs, but also the negative is the batteries, the safety aspect of the batteries, and more important for me, the EMF. If you don't know what EMF is, by the way, I might put a little link down below, but basically mobile phones let off an EMF radiation when you're on them. It's mainly from the batteries. And as you can appreciate, we're going to have probably 200 amp hours of batteries downstairs, so they're two big towers. So yeah, let me go downstairs and I'll show you roughly what we're doing at the moment. And also show some other parts that I've actually brought in as well. So at the moment, the one thing we had brought in, which I told you guys about, was I was trying to source some solar-powered, solar-orientated air conditioning units. So they're designed to run on solar, which means that the power outages in and out are different. The operational power is different, and you can run them on the sun if you want to. And here we have some. So these ones here are the condensers. These are split units. And then over here, we've got some ducted units. So they're ducted 24s, and these are split 24s. So yeah, at the moment, they're waiting to go in. We're gonna have some down here, we're gonna have some in the garage, and we're gonna have some put into the bedrooms. I don't want to go doing that until we've had the solar put in, because our bill is already massive as it is. So as and when the solar is in and we're off grid, then we can put the solar units in as well, start actually cooling down the bedrooms without actually running up an even bigger bill than we've already got, which by the way is massive. Down here we haven't finished, as you can see. Now we're taking a bit of a back seat, so we've got the plasterboard in the corner here. That's meant to be going up here, and then we can finish up running the lights after we've skimmed and painted. We've got the first coat in here, as you can see. It's like a primer coat. We've skimmed the walls, we've sanded it down so it's nice and smooth. Beautiful. And then we need to put the panels, the boarded panels up, obviously, and then we need to tape it during it and get the lights put in. Electric's live. And it's a case of, do we decide to run this into a bathroom here or leave it as it is? I think we're just going to leave it as it for now. Okay, up on the roof, what we're also going to be doing is putting some concrete ballast systems down. The racking, aluminium racking we bought. And that's another thing we got wrong, unfortunately. I asked China to give me aluminium racking, and they said galvanised. So I've got 5 grand worth of galvanised racking that I don't want up on my roof, so I've had to buy aluminium now. So the aluminium racking will be mounted on top of these concrete ballasts. And down here, as you can see, I love the word rebar, there'll be some metal wire going into those blocks and concrete ballasts to make sure they're strong. They will be glued down to the roof, and the aluminium racking will be fixed down into those blocks. So all of the solar will be off the floor by about 6 inches. Hopefully, we won't see it from the street. We've got that little pelmet going all the way around, but the pelmet itself is only about 5 to 6 inches. So hopefully, from the road, you shouldn't be able to see anything. But yeah, that will start going in the next few days. But we've got to get the roof leveling sorted first, and we've got to get the rubberization on that first before we can start mounting any blocks and any racking. As you can hear next door, there are can going out, so we've managed to find the pipes that we got. We ran 4 1.25-inch pipes from the roof all the way down into the basement, because we knew we were going to be putting the solar panels on the roof and running the actual the cables for those panels all the way down. They call them strings, so we'll have 8 strings of panels. Each string has 2 cables, obviously a negative and a positive, and then there's a number of earths. So we'll have between 16 and 18 cables coming down from the roof, and all of those will be run into lightning protectors. And from those lightning protectors, they'll go into the inverters, and then the inverters will then have power coming out straight upstairs to the actual mains unit. So, what you're hearing at the moment is a prep for that. So I won't take you at the moment because we won't hear or see anything at all. But I will, as and when they stop drilling and whatever else, I'll take you in and show you that. At the moment, the drilling you're hearing is I want the units mounted as high as possible, which means they're having to can go into some of the wall and the beams there. So we can actually get the conduits coming out high, and then we can mount the box. And then what we want to do is, like here, we want to run it all the way around the ceiling high. So all of the actual strings that come down from the solar panels are going to run all the way around the roof. They'll come down into a conduit, and then they'll fix into the lightning protectors and the inverters and so on. So yeah, it's been a bit of a mission at the moment. But say we've got the inverters. We've got 2 massive inverters. They're huge. They're a new technology in China as well. They're hybrids. They run on 110, they run on 240. They also run on single phase as well as 3 phase. That's one of the issues I have here. 3-phase stopped at the top of the road. I've only got a single phase here. So we've got to have a unit that can connect up to a single phase system that at some stage, if they ever do run a 3-phase here, we can connect up to it. But the system's that big, without being rude, we won't really have a need to be connecting to the grid. It would just be an off-grid type system. Yeah, so that's that. Paul's just turned up as I was filming you. He's turned up with the level lay, or some of the engineering for the level lay. Paul's got a company on the island that does driveways and roofs and all that sort of stuff, and he does a lot of level laying of surfaces. So he's going to be coming along at some stage, meant to be this morning. He's meant to be coming this morning and sanding down what's up there already with a view to mixing and pouring more level lay to get the roof at its level itself. So here he's coming now. So from my point of view, once that's actually done, then we can actually then start the ballast system, and the ballast system will be obviously glued in and rubberized in with the rest of it. So I'll take you out in a minute and I'll actually show you that, yeah? Okay, so let me give you an overview of what's happening down here. So when we originally had the build done, the one thing I didn't do, which I strongly recommend you all do, is have an M&E drawing done. Telecoms, IT, internet, right through to electrical and mechanical. At the time when I built this, it was in code, and I didn't have the time to do that, unfortunately, so I had to do it on paper. But again, some of the planning wasn't actually done as well as it should have been done. For instance, the solar connections from the ceiling, from the roof down to here. Getting the conduits and the infrastructure put in as you're doing the build is far easier than doing it after the actual event, that's for sure. So we did think that way, but I don't think we planned it out due to the rush as well as we should have. So what we actually ended up doing was taking these 4 conduits, which are 1.25 inches from the roof down to the basement, which is great. So we've managed to bust that open, pulling a plumb line from the front, pipes are hanging out the ceiling obviously, pulling a plumb line, hitting the actual columns to work out which ones sound empty versus full, and now we found them. We've had to unfortunately dig a little bit into the concrete, mainly because I don't want the boxes too low. So we've had to, they were here, but obviously I've gone up a little bit into the beam. We'll have to concrete that back in again and all this as well after the event. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to put the main connector box to the strings being the twin cables coming from each set of panels. So there'll be 8 strings basically, 112 panels, 8 strings. So there'll be 16 cables coming down of a certain thickness. There'll be 2 earths, so there'll be 18 cables in total, and they'll all be coming through here. Now, word of advice, always put more in than you need. There's 4 here. I think we should have had 6 to 8. That would enable us to scope up later on in the future. It'll also make sure we've got plenty in here. So I think it's going to be quite tight to do that. But anyway, they're in. And then obviously what we're going to do is we're going to run it all the way around here, all the way around there, and then we're going to drop it here into a trunking and going straight into these combiner boxes. Combiner boxes, as far as I'm aware, are like lightning strike boxes. So there'll be 8 strings, 4 going into each, and then from those 4 strings, they'll come down into a major trunking, and it'll go straight into each inverter. So each inverter will work independently, but they'll be working in tandem with each other. And at the same time, they'll both have their own separate battery banks, which they're being built as we speak here, these big racks. We've got massive batteries going into those. Each one of those racks will probably have around about, I don't know how many there is. I mean, there's going to be what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Looks like there's 14 boxes, so it's going to be at least 7 batteries in each one of those. And then from those, what we're doing is we've actually gone a little bit overboard. We're actually coming into what in fact is another 200 amp electrical panel, and we're also going into a complete on-off manual. So that will be full on solar, completely off, up to straight back to the grid again. And then over here, another set of fuses. So really going over the top of that part, which I'll give you an update a little bit later on when that's finished. And today what we're actually doing is going a bit further with the roof. Up on the roof. So, as you can see, the guys are all upstairs. We've obviously got the ponding upstairs, and what we can't do is lay loads of solar panels down and have loads of retained water underneath those solar panels, because what that water will do is just eventually eat into the actual rubber. That will bubble up. Before you know it, it's gone weak. And then you've got water seeping into the concrete, and eventually it will crack and so on and so forth. So what we've got to try and do today is there's 3 to 4 main areas of ponding water. We have to have that ponding water raised So we brought in a product from England, which is an external level lay. That's been put on so far, but it's wasn't high enough. So we're now having to bring in some more stuff. So we've got some Mapei stuff, which is a European brand. That's going to be sanded down first. So they're going to sand down the whole area that we actually did yesterday. They're going to land up now, put a more level lay on top of that, and hopefully going to be pulling that a little bit and letting it find its way. And then making sure that there's no water retention up there whatsoever. So I will take you up in a second and give you a quick show. But yeah, so fingers crossed by the close of play today, the aim is to have those areas sanded down and filled. And then over the next couple of days, what we need to do is let that dry, and then we need to get a damn good primer. We need to primer all those areas, and then we've got to go out and we've got to make sure that we get the roof rubber put on top. So we're using a silicone-based roof rubber. Because water-based just doesn't, I mean, it's okay if it's at an angle and the water's just running. Water-based rubbers are absolutely fine, but if you've got any form of retention of water, water-based products just don't work. So anybody that's looking to do some form of protection on a product or a roof rubber of some sort, just be mindful that you look at whether it's a water-based product, acrylic-based product, or a silicone-based product. Personally, I would go silicone all day long. Again, it's still not designed to hold water, but it's like an oil-based product, so it's far easier, it's far more geared to retain and reflect and defend against water than a water-based product is, for obvious reasons. But obviously they're a lot more expensive, so you'll get a water-based product for about $450 Bayesian on the island, maybe 500. The acrylic ones are more like 900, so they are double the price. So anyway, that's what they're doing today. Unfortunately, there's going to be quite a bit of dust up there. As you can see, they're already starting. So the first thing they're going to do is they're going to sand down the areas that they've already laid, because there's quite a lot of uneven. And the reason why it's uneven, bearing in mind it's a level lay, is because in this weather, it's bloody hard to try and get a level lay down and let it find its way before it dries. The surface is hot, the sun is hot, so before you even poured it, it's automatically starting to cure. So you need to mix it in a batch big enough, and you also potentially need to add a little bit more water to it than normal, just to enable it to have the time to do what it's designed to do. But Paul and these guys, this is what they do for a living, so fingers crossed. I mean, I think the company's called Exquisite. I'm pretty sure it's Exquisite Flooring. So I'll see how the job goes today, but so far he's a good guy. So again, like I've always said on the channel, we'll always endorse good tradespeople. And ensure that good tradespeople get referred on and get recognised for the work they do. At the same time, obviously, if something goes wrong, then we'll obviously let you know it goes wrong, because we don't want people to fall for the same problems we've had. So far, the solar guy, by the way, obviously, I had a solar guy first, and he let me down massively. That's a legal situation going on at the moment with the island police, because technically it's fraud. But where the new guy's concerned, absolutely brilliant so far. So from my point of view, obviously we're still half through the job, we've still got to finish it at the moment, but as and when I finish, certainly if it goes according to plan like I think it's going to, I'll definitely put the details below, and you guys need to start obviously reaching out to him if it's something you're looking to do on the island. I'd definitely recommend so far, that's for sure. So I will get up on the scaffolding and show you what we're actually doing today, just so you can see the ponding. Once that ponding's done and the rubberization's done, then we're going to start installing, and as quick as we physically can, we're going to start installing the aluminium racking. So what they're intending on doing at the moment is doing a small sort of 5 to 6 inch concrete ballast system, which runs with the water runs basically. And then from those ballast systems, there'll be an aluminium racking system that is screwed and drilled into that. And then before we do that, we'll rubberize the whole thing. So what we're not going to be doing is fixing into the roof. We're going to be cutting, grinding into the roof, making a new surface bond to the roof, and we're going to put loads of concrete ballast systems that are weighted and fixed, if you like, through concrete onto the roof, and then the solar systems are going to be bolted into that. Now, in an ideal world, you would normally anchor into the roof. If the wind gets underneath these solar panels, when we have big wind, as you know, it wouldn't take too long to be ripping strings off the roof. But I just don't want, I really don't want us to be drilling into the roof if we can help it. So yeah, fingers crossed we can come up with a concrete system that is concreted on the roof. It's not drilled into the roof, but because of the weight and because of the way it's concreted, it should stick to the roof very well, and should obviously offer the same solution, fingers crossed. So that's what they do on the island, full stop. So that's what we're going to look at doing here. And all of those concrete ballast systems will be reinforced with the lovely word rebar. So there'll be rebar inside it. Once they're done and they're cured, then we'll completely rubberize them, and that's what we'll then fix straight into with the aluminium racking. I did actually have some galvanized racking delivered from China, but I actually asked for it to be aluminium and they didn't listen as always. So I've got a load of galvanized racking here, which I could have used, but in all fairness, I'd much rather go down the route of using the aluminium. So I've had to unfortunately duplicate the cost again. But from my point of view, again, recommend to anyone, galvanized is good for 25 years, you know, but in this condition, with the heat, the humidity, and the salt we have on the island, it just won't last. So it will rust very quickly. It will last 25 years, but it will look awful. It will leave orange staining everywhere. And when you've got a white rubber roof you're trying to protect, you know, it's the last thing you want to be doing is having loads of orange, you know, rust delivered to the roof. So I've decided to upgrade and go with the aluminium racking. So that's what we're going to do. Fingers crossed it'll be strong enough. With galvanized, it is stronger than aluminium. So there is a bit of a concern there that, you know, as much as aluminium doesn't rust, is it strong enough to hold, you know, and will it break? Fingers crossed it'll be fine. And at the moment we're just looking at doing the main roof. So at the moment we're looking to put all 112 panels on here. I personally think we should be putting some on here. That will create a bit of space on here, reduce a bit of weight. This garage roof doesn't really get used, you know, for anything else. So it's a 35 to 40 foot square flat roof with a little bit of a run on it. So I think potentially we should be using that really. But anyway, I'll get up there and have a quick look and show you what we're doing up there. Okay, so we're up on the roof. We got lots of ponding. Sorry about the wind if there is any. Okay, so at the moment there's a gutter just there. There's a gutter there. And there's a gutter right over there. So at the moment this was about 1.5 inches too low. So we've now put a external level lay in there, and that now needs to be sanded down. And then there needs to be another level lay put over the top of that to get that smooth. As you can see at the moment, they're putting lines to make sure we can try and get the whole thing right, and we need to make sure the water is running that way. And then the ballast systems will run parallel to that side of the building to ensure the water flows through. Same over here as well. The guys are sanding down here. Oh, sorry about the wind. Probably not going to hear anything I'm saying. But yeah, so at the moment that's what's happening. And as you can see, there's still some low points where you can see the actual pink spray is where we still have some low points in there where we're still gathering water. So we're probably about 1/4 inch off of where we need to be. So we'll get that finished off, as you can see. And then the same over here. This one is pretty much long. It goes from the gutter itself over this corner all the way over to here. It's a case of just filling that up and making sure it's got that run on it to ensure that it runs away. There's the ugly box I talked about. Awful. There's nothing we can do. It has to be that height because the pipes need to cut. The solar panels need to be able to let the cables go in. Obviously they can't come up. And you've also got to be careful there's no water that comes into those tubes, otherwise they're going to let that in the basement. So we've got no choice but to build it. So again, from a design point of view, why would you put those tubes right at the front of the building? They would have been over here where I asked them to be, which is there's a column here, a beam that goes right through this part of the house, and that goes straight down to the electric room. That's where I would have put them. Anyway, it is what it is. We just need to now make sure we polish it up, skim it over, paint it white. Just hope that you can't really see it from the road. I know I will. Every time I pull up, I'll have a bit of an eye twitch going on when I pull up. But anyway, that's the way it is. And as you can see here, with 2,305 square feet of sanding and filling. So that's today's job. Okay, so at the close of play, we're not going to know whether the actual pour itself has worked without having some rain. So I'm going to get the hose on there in a minute. If anything, to help it keep cool, but at the same time to try and see whether we're actually getting any form of ponding still. I would say we probably are by the looks of it. But anyway, we shall find out. So we'll actually get the actual water onto the roof and see whether it actually finds its way or not. At the moment, I would say there's still a couple of high points by the looks of it. Fingers crossed that's not going to be the case for obvious reasons. Over here is done as well. Guys are coming up to start looking at the roof. So we've pulled it over this way as well. Is it going to work? That is the question. I do not know. So then we've got it over here as well, pulling towards this drain right here. I'm not too sure whether it's going to work, you know. But anyway, we will know once we get some water on here. Once the water's on, is it running? what they've been doing is making it quite waterized and literally pulling it into where it needs to be. So fingers crossed it will do what it needs to do. This has definitely been pulled towards the drain. What I did say about grinding into here, just so that any water that came down would find that groove and go in, but that's not been done, so fingers crossed it will find its way. So anyway, that's pretty much the roof for now. I'll upload that in a minute, and also I'm going to go downstairs in a second and quickly take some pictures of the update on the solar.